This podcast is proud to be part of the talkSPORT Fan Network. talkSPORT. Powered by fans.
Josh Woodcock. And a superb goal from Barrett. Oh, the keeper saves it, and there's McGregor. There's a goal. Oh, McGregor.
Robertson, the first time we've seen them attack them, and there's Francis! Well, that's what I wanted to see Robertson do.
Getting his shot in, and a goal! Robertson!
Hello and welcome to this edition of Reiss and Trent as we come to you the night after Nottingham Forest's progressed in a weird way. In fact, that they lost 2-1 on the night, but against Fenerbahce, but managed to progress 4-2 on aggregate to around the 16 of the Europa League, where we'll face FC Midtjylland, who Forest already played once this season. I'm joined by Reiss and Danny. Firstly, how are you both?
Yeah, good, mate. You?
Not too bad, thank you. Danny, self?
Yeah, likewise. Good, mate. Good, thank you.
Good stuff. Before we dive into things, obviously, as some of our regular listeners may be aware of, or even people who tuned in fairly recently, one of the original four, if you like, Adam, his wife, was going through a very difficult time. Obviously, we're very sad to say that unfortunately she passed away yesterday, and which is obviously awful news. Adam has obviously had a ton of support from the whole Forest community, including people pods who've listened to our pod and whatever else. And obviously, we're all there for him. We all appreciate those who have been supporting him as well in what is undoubtedly a unthinkably bad time for him. So obviously, in the meantime, we're sort of carrying the torch while he's obviously doing whatever it is he has to do, and obviously goes out saying that we all are here for him as and when is needed. But sorry to start, obviously, starting off a bit of a sad note, but I thought it's important to get that one out there. But moving on to football matters, I suppose. Reiss, I guess the team yesterday, what's it? It was funny. I think 5 or 6 changes. It's funny because I had BBC Radio Nottingham on the way back, and Vitor was adamant it was 5 changes, but the reporter was adamant, equally adamant, it was 6. But obviously, we saw Jer Cunha came in. Obviously, we saw Luca coming up front. It looked like a bit almost a change of shape, almost with 3 at the back at the times. It sort of felt like with sort of Dominguez as a wing back. How did you sort of find the original team sheet? Did you think that, obviously, given the position we got ourselves into and with the importance of the Brighton game at the weekend, that was something that had to be done? Or would you have liked to see a more stronger side start from the off and then grab the game by the horns and then sort of just ease off after that point?
Yeah, I mean, I think both arguments are fair, aren't they? There'll be some fans who say start your strongest 11, and close a tie out and then make the changes. And there'll be some who say rotate the side a bit, keep a core of first teamers in, and that should be enough. Unfortunately, with what we did start with, it wasn't enough because we was in danger of getting dragged into a real dogfight, and we did for, a brief period of the game. But no, I mean, we obviously talk about this squad, don't we? And we feel players should be playing better than what they are, and they're good enough to come in. And what I did find odd about the selection was just the square pegs in round holes. I don't understand why Murillo was at left back. You either play him at centre back or you rest him. I don't understand why McAtee was on the right wing. He's either your number 10 or he don't play. I know he did well against Feros off the right wing, but yeah, I'd say they're a lesser side than Fenerbahce, I guess. There was just kind of no connection, was there, with him and Luca, as you saw by that chance early on when he tried to slip him through and Luca held back. But I didn't mind us rotating a bit, but as we saw on the night, if the drop off from his strongest 11 is quite vast, isn't it? Because I'll speak about it a bit more further down the line, but it was poor, mate. First off, really poor.
Yeah, I mean, poor would be something of an understatement, really. I was very surprised. I mean, I suppose when you look at it a bit more rationally, it's sort of a bit more understandable as to why these players might not have been fully firing. But yeah, it wasn't good at all. I mean, she touched on McAtee there. McAtee was not a night for him at all, really. But even Murillo
just stunk. it just stunk of a team who thought they'd won the tie the first half.
Yeah, there was
That's
a
what it
complacency
stunk
element to
of.
it, yeah.
You know, like last week in Turkey, Fenerbahce just couldn't deal with our intensity. There was a Premier League intensity. That's why they've got ex-Premier League players playing in a lesser league, because they're on the decline and they just couldn't live with us. Last night we played at their intensity, and there's no wonder why N'Golo Kante looked the best player on the pitch last night. Last week, Sangare just ran him all over the place. You know what I mean? And Anderson as well in the middle. He couldn't get near us. So, yeah, it's just a lack of intensity and it's just a lack of just complacency, mate, really. Just complacency that the kind of thinking would have the tie's done, and it wasn't, was it? Because, you know, they got within a goal of leveling the tie. And to be honest, they didn't. I wouldn't say they had to do much to get 2 goals. So, you know, it's not like we've come away from last night and said, "Oh, Fenerbahce were brilliant tonight, weren't they?" It was just mistakes and complacency from us. So,
yeah, that's the thing. I wouldn't say we were carved as such. I just felt that we were very generous last night, shall we say? Because
but the positive is we've not gone full Forest and lost, because for us 3 being in the ground last night would have thought at points, God, this is going to be up there with your Yeovils and your Stokes, etc. Because it did feel like that for a period. But thankfully, you know, and fair play to the players who come on for that, we've actually got ourselves through.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously, Danny, it wasn't the best starts, really. I mean, we had a few sort of half sort of opportunities. Obviously, I've recently alluded to there. There was one obviously where Makasiko slipped in Luca up front, who had a very interesting game, to put it mildly. But obviously, the first goal came again. It's Forest on the attack. Hutchinson's got the ball in a good area. He sort of pulls it out. The ball gets cleared, and then literally within about 4 or 5 seconds, Fenerbahce in a 2-on-1 pretty much. I mean, what's your sort of take on the first goal? Obviously, which they then obviously score. I think I can't pronounce his name. I'm not going to try to pronounce his name, but yeah, obviously it's a tidy finish, all things considered, I suppose. But you couldn't really miss either.
No, I mean, touching quickly on like with the lads coming in and people saying, "Oh yeah, but they're coming out the cold, so what do you expect?" What I would say is I'd give them more leeway if they was up against a full fire in Fenerbahce, but I imagine their team was probably the same. I imagine there was a lot of their players who was coming out the cold, and like we're talking square pegs around. Oh, they've got Guendouzi at centre half, haven't they? It's not like we were playing a full strength Fenerbahce. But touching on the goal, yeah, well, it was. I think Morata had gone into an area, Anti was in no man's land, and I think the same. I think Yates was also wrong side of that player, trying to tackle him wrong side. Then Morato's got drawn in. Cunha's then done nothing in this. Is in the sense of he's not done poor defending, but we've seen it many times. But like you say, you're talking about great defenders. I remember Thiago Silva doing it up when we played Chelsea once, just cutting that angle off, and he just didn't do neither. But then you say that the ball did slow down the attack enough for Williams to get back, but Williams ended up falling over. So it was just a bit of a calamity, wasn't it? It took his goal well. You'd back anyone to score there, let's be right. It's finished it well, but if he don't finish it, it's a travesty, isn't it? But it will come in my opinion. I mean, Reiss touched on it about us sat there in the crowd thinking, "Oh, what's going to happen here?" I can genuinely tell you. I mean, we'll get on to it, but on about 60 minutes, I felt sick. I was like, "This is it. Like, this is going to be worse." I mean, Reiss come and sat with me at half time. We had a chat, and like Reiss said, if it had have gone tits up, so to speak, it'd have probably been as painful as anything we've felt before, really. Because I think we're all in this thing with Europe where it's like, oh, it's split second at, but I think, you know, if we'd have gone at, it was harder than I think people would think. It'd have been a bit like, because it has been I imagine there'll be lads and ladies who's booking flights to Denmark as we speak. Do you know what I mean? There is that distraction. So, yeah, it was a ropey start. Well, it was a poor first half, let's be honest. Can't butter it up. There was some awful performances. And we got what we deserved. I mean, I don't know if to go on to it, but we were just lucky it was one for me at half time.
I think the thing for me is, I mean, you're right. I mean, we were lucky it was one. I mean, some of the performances, I mean, it wasn't even from some of the French players either. I mean, Hutchinson nearly got a great assist for them to sort of go down the right and score. Anderson as well. Just loose, sloppy passing that you wouldn't expect. We might make one of those mistakes in an average game, and you probably get punished for it. To make 3 or 4 of those in one half was really, really bad. I thought personally, we didn't seem at it at all. And
that's complacency, though.
That is complacency.
That's thinking. I mean, I'm Murillo's biggest fan. That's thinking you can just do what you want on that football pitch. It's like he was. It was like he thought he got a free roll. Almost like he was coming down to play a charity game with us. Do you know what I mean? I think he thought that was what he was doing, and he was poor. Williams was poor. Anderson was poor. So, like you say, that the people that we've been relying, Tom, they've let us down, haven't they? I say let us down. They were poor first half. Second half, luckily, we got through it, didn't we? But it was complacency.
Yeah, I think that's big word, complacency. Obviously, I think you have to give Vitor some credit really for making 4 subs at half time and doing it in a way that was a bit more carefully managed, I suppose, than the previous manager, who would have just thrown everyone under the bus and said they're all crap and terrible and they all need to be sold and it was all their fault. He did it the way, I mean, I heard him on BBC Radio Nottingham on the way out, and he was sort of saying that, look, he wasn't to punish anyone, taking anyone off. It was just more the nature of the game, we to shift a formation and shift something and get a few different bodies on there, which I think is a better way to handle it than, saying after the Wrexham game that I don't know why these players are coming out my door and saying that they want to play football because they're clearly shown they can't. I mean, 2 different types of management there. I think one's successful than the others, but that's just up to me. Before we move on to the second half, Reiss, I've got to start with. I mean, I've seen people comment as well. I mean, we'll go with Brucey's comment first. We can ignore the donkey on the pitch. Luca was dreadful liability, really. It's pretty bad, but that's probably one of the more courteous things I think I've seen about Luca's performance last night. I've tried to be patient. I really have. I mean, I've mentioned this, I said this to you, didn't I, yesterday, that I find it very funny that the same people who were saying how terrible he was after Liverpool were the same people who wanted him to start against Wolves instead of Jesus because he scored against Leeds. But God, he looked bad last night. I mean, he's clearly not a right fit for that system at all, in my opinion.
Yeah, because I think I said this on the last pod. He was, in my opinion, brought for a manager who we've now sacked. And there's two strikers are similar in the sense that, Jesus's main strength is his hold-up play. You're probably looking from Luca as well. So he's been brought in kind of as a light for light, but he's obviously, because he's 6'7", you'd expect him to be better in the air than Jesus. But, he was against Guendouzi's a decent player, but he's a centre mid playing at centre half, and he couldn't even hold it. He couldn't hold it up. He couldn't trap the ball. It was like bouncing off him, and then there was one way it bounced off him. He brought their play down and got booked. And yeah, it was no surprise for me. He was hooked at half time. Had Pereira been in the job, say, a year, and his feet was firmly under the desk, I think he would have hooked players earlier than half time, to be honest. And you couldn't have complained. And that's a lot of the new recruits, and that's like Danny said, players who've been here a long time and a few seasons now, because in the first half, I didn't think probably Jai Kuna, maybe the only one, obviously Ortega in goal, made that save, didn't he, with his chest where it took a little nick. I don't think you could have really hung your hat on many more. Dominguez maybe.
Yeah, I thought Dominguez won.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like you're talking 6 out of 10s, aren't you?
Not playing good. Yeah. They weren't good, but there was some bad performances on there.
Yeah, and to be honest, Vitor has probably said similar to what Deitch has, but in the dressing room, because there's no point in bringing it to the media's attention. Whatever's said behind closed doors, I couldn't care less if they're effing and blinding and the dressing room door's been booted off its hinges. As long as it's behind closed doors, it's fine to me. You just don't need to find its way into the media. But he kind of seeing what we're seeing there. There's just he's giving players have been given opportunities in the kind of second string bunch, and some just didn't take it, did they, first half? Because, like I said, there's just a lack of intensity, mate. Just a complete lack of it. Like if I'm a player who's not playing much, I'd like to think that I'm going to at least run my bollocks off. Sorry for swearing if you're classing that. and try and get myself in the side. You know what I mean? But we're having to rely on his first team again, who, you know, let's be honest, the 17th in the league for a reason. They're not breaking many pots. You know what I mean? Like we said at the weekend, you know, Hutchinson probably played a 6.5 out of 10, but you're having to bring Hudson-Odoi on last night to get us out of jail and then we can't even look at his two wingers on the bench who are £35 million buys we can't trust. So, yeah, I guess the performance just summed up really, first half especially, what this season's been, and that's been, a bit of a mess. Well, a lot of a mess, should I say.
Well, yeah, this is it. I mean, highlighting a wider point, this is something I pulled up earlier regarding some of our French players. So it's difficult because on the one hand, I do take your point about the intensity levels and the running levels and whatever else, and yes, it should be better. On the other hand, it's very clear that, I mean, we saw it on Sunday, didn't we? The difference between Dominguez and Backwell coming off the bench. One that razor sharp, who's been playing very frequently. One, you know, aside from looking devoid of any confidence, again, cheers, Sean, just look way off it. But this is why, I mean, I'm just looking, did some digging earlier, like I said. So here in the Premier League minutes played by some of these fringe players during the Sean Dyche reign. So this is Premier League only. This isn't Europe. It's just in Prem. So obviously, Jair Cunha had a grand total of 0. Didn't play once in the Dyche. Probably didn't do enough hard yards or eating gravel or none eaten somewhere. Backwell played 128 minutes on the Dyche in, 4 months. Yates played 280. Again, I thought Yates was really poor last night. But again, he's still got a bigger body of work than some of the others. McAtee, a grand total of 43 minutes in the Premier League. That's not even a half. In 4 months, not even a half. And you got Callum Mwendo, 25. It's even less. Douglas Luiz played 184 minutes. That's barely 2 games. Obviously, Nets, again, that's slightly flawed because obviously he's only available for 2 games. I think Dyche had him for 14 minutes, despite the fact that we had no left back available. And, even Zach Abbott played 121 minutes, which is, it's 7 less than Backwell. And then you got Big T with 159, who we all cast aside in the summer. But my point is that how are these players meant to come in and perform when they're clearly undercooked? They haven't played. I mean, this is what, if you say what you like about Nuno last season, and we all rightly criticise him not using his squad properly. He didn't, like, towards the end, the players burned out. He wasn't using Sosa, he wasn't using Jota, etc., etc. But whenever those players came in, they never looked off it. It might not have been good enough, especially in Jota's case, but he never looked off it. He always looked physically capable to compete. Like you said there, Reiss, like, we've got £30 million players on the bench there who aren't. You look at them and think, are you going to do anything?
Yeah, I mean, I've always stated a case that young players, need to have runs in teams, and also as well, like Jota and Sousa come into a side last season, which was structurally good. Everything off the pitch was good. I mean, this season's been a disaster, hasn't it? And we're not really given a platform for these players to thrive. But what I will say is when they do get an opportunity, I just want to see them at least work hard. And I just didn't really see that from some of them last night. I can understand if, like, they're going to be a bit rusty, because that's just natural. We all play football at a lot less level. If you miss a week when you play football, you come back and you feel a little bit rusty again. And then when you're playing week in, week out, you obviously build up. But it's just really disappointing. And I think every week we're just asking questions about the recruitment. And to be honest, if we do stay up in this league, we'll see what happens in the summer, who stays, who goes. But if some do stay, you're just hoping really that we provide a structure next. I mean, one that's not got 4 managers in for a start. But fans are running out of patience with them, aren't they? And you can't blame fans for saying that you can't trust some of these players at the minute, because, like I said, then look, we can't even turn to like in Ndoye, for example. I wouldn't say he's a young. What's Ndoye, 25?
24, 25.
And he's played quite a bit this season, for example. Yeah. And we can't even turn to him. Like, you're giving me a list there and you're saying minimal minutes, fair enough. But Ndoye must have played a fair few minutes this season.
Yeah, I didn't leave him out that.
And it's we can't even turn to him at the minute.
Yeah. They've played in Europe as well, haven't they?
Yeah.
They have played in Europe.
And
I know, like, it's one of them, isn't it? I know you could turn around probably and put a list up for a lot of teams that are playing in competitions where there's not like you start 11. You're right; it could be utilised better. We've seen it. We've calling out for it. Callum Wendo could have come on for 20 minutes in games rather than 3 minutes, and McAtee likewise and stuff like that. So, but you do also have to show something. It's like they've not like been playing world beaters, have they, on a Thursday night? Do you know what I mean? They've been playing against a team like we all went. Everyone calling how good McAtee and Yates was when they played against the Hungarian team. Like they went to Portugal against a nondescript Portuguese team and absolutely stumped the place out. Do you know what I mean? It's not like, and they're playing every other week. And I get it, they're not going to be as sharp. They're not. But Cunha's come in yesterday with the least minutes of any of them, and we're all saying how well he's done. So it's like there is some excuse for it, but you also got to look and think, like Luke, for example, he just looks shot of confidence, miles off it. People are saying, oh yeah, but he's not been bought for the system. He's been bought for a dark system. Well, there were 3 balls that went across the face of goal, which I imagine is like what Darch wants to do is get your strikers in between the posts. So it wasn't there for none of them. So I know we got a goal at Leeds and it was a good header, but you look at it as an actual what you think a striker who's 6'7" is going to do is be in between the posts, and he wasn't. So he was rusty. He's rusty. He's out of it, but he's been out of sorts all season. We've signed a striker. We all said it at the time. We signed a striker who was out of sorts. Whereas we had Callum Wendo, I know it's also who actually showing a bit of form, and we didn't bother playing him, which was absolute joke. On Bakwa and Doy, yeah, they've not shown anything for me. Back was absolutely shot of confidence. I imagine he's been destroyed, which we know why. And touching on, like we said, the drop off, Hudson-Odoi had to come on last night and basically get us out of it, the trouble, which he had to do at Wrexham. Do you know what I mean? They have had games, and it's like, to be fair to Dominguez looked fine. Do you know what I mean? I know he's played a lot of minutes. I know he's played more minutes than the others, but he's not been playing. He didn't start the last game. I don't think he started. Did he start against Wolves? No, I don't think he started against.
I think so.
No, he didn't start against Wolves. So there's also a bit of where they've got to have responsibility. And I think the biggest issue for me last night was you take, I don't know what I'm thinking, but you're taking Sangare out of the team, who's we've all praised. His attribute is he dictates the play with the ball. I was talking to a bloke at half time because he was like saying, well, we're playing a different system. I says, we're not. He goes, I said, we are. I says, Dominguez is playing in the 10. He says, well, why is this so deep? I says, it's so deep. I says, because Yates isn't receiving the ball and getting it out, so he's having to come. So you've got Anderson and Dominguez coming to get the ball. In Yates' defence, it's not his game. But if he's got to go in there, and that's what we're going to dictate play in possession, which is what we look like we're doing, because basically that's what he said in his presser was, it wasn't for punishment, I just needed to get hold of the ball. That's what he's saying. So what he means by that is I need someone to get in there and actually control we all say it, midfield is the most important place at pitch. That's been our big trouble. We've not been able to nail down that third midfielder. Lucky for us this year, Sangara's nailed it down. So now we're looking like, oh yeah, we've got a balance. Your midfielder that's in that sitting, you look at the second half when Sangare come on, and he wasn't great. Sangare wasn't great. It was decent, but it wasn't great. He had moments. But look how high Anderson and Dominguez was. The reason was because they haven't got to come and fetch the ball. Because what he does is he drops into space where he'll, even like a little thing, where he'll drop into space, Aina gives him the ball. He's got all the time in the world and he'll just pop it off to the left. And you've literally switched the whole game. But what happens is it looks like he's in loads of space, so it looks easy. But the reason it is in all that space is because he's got the quality to find the space on the pitch, whereas we didn't have that first half. And then I don't think Dominguez could do that either. I don't think that's Dominguez's game. I thought Dominguez excels when it looks good when he's pressing. To me, it looks really good, but I wouldn't want him sitting in front of the back four trying to orchestrate, so to speak. So it is a bit of a tactical switch up now, where we've got our midfielders that are going in there now have got to dictate the play. They've got to get on the ball. They've got to show constantly for the fullbacks. I mean, they want help. There were some poor performances, and like you say, Luca was like it was coming back once every time we got the ball. It didn't look after the ball. But then second half, it wasn't much different in that aspect. It just looked like we got a bit of a grasp of the game, enough of the grasp of the game to take the game to them to get us back out of trouble. Like, I think after they scored, we reacted quite well, in my opinion. We weren't brilliant, but I thought we reacted quite well. A lot of like, it was almost like, just settle down, let's just get back into the tie. And once the goal come, I was a lot more comfortable. But I do get your point. There is an issue with the previous manager not using the players and they're coming in cold, but they've not gone against Liverpool or what's it. They've got more than enough to do that game. I mean, I do feel a bit for McAtee playing him out wide, which he could have gone in the 10 and you could have played one of them wingers. But if they're not getting a minute, why? Do you know what I mean? They're not getting a minute last night. And I feel if you'd asked us all, we'd at least had one of us. If we'd all done a poll, we'd have all said one of them would have started yesterday.
I think as well, to just say quickly with Dominguez, he's not had a pre-season. And he's come in from an injury, from a long-term injury, and he's back and he's firing. You know what I mean? He looks ready. I know that he has got that heavyweight boxer kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Like breathing into where he looks 1 minute looks gassed out, but he's been out for ages and he's come back and he's in the team playing every week. So and
we're not asking for like 10 out of 10s, are we? We're asking for a performance which is actually. Like, you didn't need to do a deal yesterday to put yourself in good stead. It's like they'd have felt like the tie was over. They would have. So all you've got to do in there is implicate your game. You've not got to take the game to them. Do you know what I mean? We ain't got to go and beat them last night. You've just got to be good enough to compete. Like you say, compete, be competitive, not even get in the faces, just get on the ball and just take. That's what we did at their place. Just take the game out, take the edge out of the game. It was erratic. And then when it gets erratic, you're thinking, I'll tell you what, these are rattled here. We've got a chance here. And then all of a sudden you score and you're like, these are proper rattled. Whereas if someone had just gone, right, settle down, we'll have 10, 15 minutes, just look after the ball. Nothing silly. And that's where, like you touched on with Ndoye, is 25 years old. I mean, people will say, they'll say I'm bashing on Yates. It's 28 years old, I think, club captain. Like, we're not talking about a young lad like coming in and there's a senior, probably played over 100 games in the Premier League. We're not talking like some shop egg who like for Zach Abbott, you can give him a bit of leeway. Is a young lad that's trying to get into the football league, into Premier League squad, which you can give him leeway. These are players that are good. McAtee, they're good enough players, as in the aspect of they should have enough to beat that, be able to compete against that team for me. So I get your point, I do, but I do think a lot that's on the players as well last night.
Oh, definitely, yeah. I mean, like we touched upon earlier, I mean, the complacency you can't really account for, regardless of game state or sharpness or whatever else. You can't really account for that. I'm just saying that as a wider point, it's no real surprise, I think, that they are misfiring. And when you throw a lot of them together, you get a disjointed performance because ultimately they don't have that cohesion or,
they should be wanting to impress Pereira as well, because these are the players who've made their mind up on managers and binned them off. It's their fault the last two managers have gone. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
And we weren't happy with Ange and Dyche because we didn't think they were good enough. But the players made their mind up quickly on both. Ange declared they weren't playing for him. And then Dyche, they went into Marinakis, called them up, the senior players, and an hour later he's gone. So it tells you everything. But so you're looking at these players like you've got another new manager in, go out and impress him, and didn't seem to want to do it.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully that isn't the case, but yeah, it's not ideal, is it? No matter what you look at it. Obviously, Danny, at half time, we did make 4 changes. Sangare came on, Hudson-Odoi came on, Igor Jesus came on, and who was the other? Aina came on as well, of course, replacing Yates, Luca, Who else came off?
McAtee.
Murillo.
and Murillo. That was it. Yeah. Would you think those were the right changes? Would you have made any more changes? What were you sort of thinking at the moment in time?
I was very surprised he stuck with Morato and Cunha because I thought it's a lot of pressure in it on them both. You know what I mean? Especially after like 46 minutes and when we concede a penalty, you're thinking you've got two centre halves in here who's, well, not Morato, but Cunha's green and Morato we know has got a bit of a rick in him. But I'll give credit to them too. I thought after the penalty, they defended well. I thought both of them did. I know Morato gets a lot of stick, and rightly so. He's not been good enough, but he was good. He in that last half an hour, he didn't make any risks. He defended well. He did what he needed to do. Yeah, Murillo needed to come off. That experiment's done. Whether he just thinks that if he's going in there, he's not really got to play properly, which it looked like, which is crazy. Yeah, he needs to be playing centre half. Williams looked more comfortable at left back because he was poor. It was poor at right back. Trying to tackle his right foot on the inside, it was crazy. And then Aina's just was that just come on, and I thought he'd play well. He made a gut busting run, I think, early doors, and it like set the tone a bit where they were probably thinking, oh, actually, if we're gonna have to bought on some decent players. Sangare, that was touched on. He had to come in there just to get some hold of the football. And then, yeah, Luca, I mean, he got booked, didn't he? Like, that might have been another thing that the manager's thinking. It's like, he probably would like to get him an extra 10, 15 minutes, but if he then goes and does something out of frustration because he's lacking confidence, he's annoyed at his game, and we're down to 10, it's a different story. So, yeah, bringing Jesus on. Like Reiss said, he could have probably made more changes, but he didn't. And then so who's Hudson-Odoi come on for? McAtee, yeah. And Hudson-Odoi, like we touched on, I mean, I thought it was my man of the match. Thought Cunha play well, but I think Hudson-Odoi had that bit of quality we needed to take the tie away from them. I mean, I touched on it in the group. That first touch for that goal is ridiculous. It's ridiculous to do that in a penalty area, opposition penalty area, and just slot it in. So yeah, and he's got that bit of he's got an aura about him, Antti Hudson-Odoi, where when the ball's with him, you feel like it's safe, and that's what we needed a bit yesterday. I think we needed someone just they were just safe hands that come on, weren't they? In Sangare, Aina, Jesus is a lot safer hands, and I think that's what we needed, and that's what Pereira probably thought. I just need to get some reliability on here because this could go one way or another. So yeah, there was the right subs for me, and I mean, it's a shame we didn't get to see certain players, but like you say, it was a bit of a risk for him, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, absolutely. But it's funny. I mean, like I said to the guy next to me, Jamie, I said to him, like, it's so important that Forest don't concede within the first 10 minutes of the second half, Reiss. And literally within 30 seconds, the referee's pointing at the spot. I must admit, I've seen it back since. Is it even a foul? It's very soft. I'm not just saying that because like it's against us. I don't even think he's clipped him. He just seems to have just jumped over him. I don't know. I think that's harsh. Obviously that's one for Lee where he goes like, when obviously, oh yeah, get the foreign refs in. It's like, well, it's that or Anthony Taylor, and they're still pretty better than Taylor. But equally, that is a bit of a shocker for me. I think that's a bit harsh, personally.
Yeah, it was one where you needed the ultra edge from cricket, wanted to see if Kuna's boot had actually met with what's his name there, Atacoglu, isn't it? I thought he clipped his own feet, mate, to be honest. But when the referee gives it, and the referee was bad. I mean, he was Italian, so you know what it's like in Italy. They chuck themselves on the floor, and yeah, I thought he was quite poor. I thought he was very inconsistent with his little fouls.
He was.
There was some ones what he gave what were barely anything, and then he let a few go what were more, and he didn't give them. So, you know, once you've given it, I guess if VAR looked at it and they see the ultra edges come up, and he's, you know, I guess, you know, leather's met leather on the boots, tiniest little bit, they're going to give it. But yeah, good penalty, sent Ortega wrong way, didn't he? And then, yeah, then you're starting to think, oh, Jesus, this is going to be one of them nights. But like Danny said, and I agreed with him, I actually thought when they did go 2-0 up, I was expecting them to probably have a bit of a period where they chucked the kitchen sink at us, and they didn't really, did they? They just didn't really have the quality to do that. I mean, the 2 goals, like I said at the start of the pod, one's a mistake because Morato gets drawn in and it's 2-on-1. And, they nearly even messed that up, to be fair, if Nico would have got back and cleared it properly.
Yeah, I mean,
and then the second one was a penalty.
If that's on the side, he probably does dip that out.
Yeah, so, thankfully, like Danny said, the subs come on then and got a foothold in the game. You just look after the football, keep the ball, pull them from side to side, make them run a little bit because, like I said earlier, the intensity, we're going to be able to up the levels more than they are. So that was the positive of the night, that we didn't fall apart, because we've seen it so many times with Forest sides down here where we completely fell apart, but we actually got a bit of a foothold in the game and then thankfully got the goal what was needed.
Yeah, I must admit, I felt the same way. I actually thought that once they go to 2-0, I thought it would have been very easy for us to just completely crumble at that point. But steady heads prevailed. We kept the ball for a bit, and the only retreat is like almost like a back.
My only concern was us in that situation. I wasn't worried about Fenerbahce thinking, oh God, these are gonna, like when it happens in the Premier League, a team's got the tails up and you're thinking, Jesus, I wasn't worried about them. It was just, I thought maybe we'd make a stupid mistake. Really silly out of what we're allowing back into the game, and we didn't, thankfully.
Yeah, that's a massive positive, though, isn't it? Actually, I know we've been quite negative, like because that wasn't great, but when you actually look at it, that is a massive positive that we didn't do what we thought what we all thought or where we'd come. Like they did get us over the line. They did, like you say, it could have quite easily. I mean, 46 minutes and you're down 2-0 down. They only need one more on the ties level. It could have quite easily turned, and it just credit to them that it didn't ever feel that way. Like we want hanging on. They want balls being whipped in and just going past the post, or just when the defenders start kicking it and it's looped in air and you're like, are they going to score in a minute? There were none of that. So credit to the lads for that, because the big thing is we got through, didn't we? Like that's it. It's a 2-legged time. We've got through 4-1.
Yeah,
4-2.
I mean, if you look at it that way, I mean, to be ultra positive, I mean, what's it? There's 4 halves of football, and we've won 2, drawn 1 of the leg, and that's enough to get through. So you're going to look at it that way.
Yeah, if you'd offered this result at the start of the tie, would it all snap the hand off? It's just after playing so well in Turkey, you're thinking, and obviously with the money people are spending now, I think the cheapest ticket was 50 quid last night, for example. You want to go out and see a performance, you know what I mean? And like we said on the kind of preview pod, of players who have been calling for the cold, you want to see them playing well, and you want to see maybe them getting a goal, but we kind of saw none of that. But yeah, the positive was we held out, because as well, even when we got it back to 2-1, I thought we took his foot off the gas a bit, and then you're thinking, you watch these nick one out of nothing, like in stoppage time, and then because we've seen it over the years with Forest, haven't we? And thankfully we didn't do that, so that's a positive. And I mean, I was a bit frustrated coming out of the ground because the performance was poor, and I wanted to see us play well again. But at the end of the day, the positive is we're through, and we'll live to fight another day against Midtjylland.
Very much.
Puts more positive on the first game as well, doesn't it? It's like we all thought that Fenerbahce were awful, but maybe we was actually really good that night. Like I did touch on that. I thought we was really good that night. I think it wasn't a case of them being absolutely woeful. I think we just didn't let them get a foothold in the game at all. And like you say, Kante last night was silky smooth, wasn't he? Look, he was the best player on the pitch, but we didn't give him that opportunity at their pace, and that's down to us. So they'll take positives from that. That victory at their place will be in the changing rooms. They'll think, tell you what, that was a good performance last week, lads, because we've ended up basically killing the tie off. If they'd have come here and needed something and it'd have been a bit closer, we'd had a tough game. So they'll take a lot of positives from that as well. So that's the positives.
I suppose if you flipped it, instead of we lost the first leg 2-0 and the second leg 3-0, we'd all be like, so that's probably more in line with what we'd hoped would happen. Obviously, in very Forest fashion, we've done it in reverse. But Anyway, Danny, we will go on to the second goal. The third goal. Sorry, the deciding goal. Really, I think it only needed one goal from Forest really last night to really sort of kill the game effectively, and it did eventually come. Obviously, Dominguez slips an Aina, who whips in a great ball, and like you said, a sublime touch from Hudson-Odoi. Perhaps questionable goalkeeping, but I'll take it. I think after some of the chances that we've had that we've not scored, we'll come on to those in due course. But yeah, I mean, talk us through the goal first and foremost, and obviously your overriding emotion afterwards, because it was quite a bit of an explosion of noise when that went in, to be fair.
Yeah, great ball by cracking ball on the overlap, getting to the byline. And he's picked him out, hasn't he? It's not a hopeful ball. I think he's actually picked Hudson-Odoi out. His first touch is absolute class. If you haven't seen it again, just go back and watch what he does to bring that ball down. He almost whips his foot back as he touches it. It's quality. Like you say, questionable goalkeeping, but he will take anything at that time. And like you say, I think it was just pure relief. It was a bit like we all felt. We've all been there. We've been there. We knew what was coming. We knew that we don't score the next goal, do we? It don't. That's not the way the book goes. Hudson-Odoi doesn't score that one. They then go up and score the third, and it's hands on your head and tears at full time. But no, we got that goal. It was pure relief, and that's what we needed. We needed someone to take that responsibility on his shoulders, and Hudson-Odoi's done it. And it's fitting that his song starts whipping round about the Thursday nights, what we started singing as a bit of a joke 2 years ago. So, no, I was elated when he scored. It took because I can honestly tell you that I think I felt the worst I've felt in recent years was Sheffield United at playoffs. I felt ill. I think I had to sit down and watch. Were telling me to sit down. But last night I felt sick. It just knocked the stuffing out of me when they got that penalty. And I'm just thinking, especially when we're struggling to score, you're just thinking, if these get a goal, I just can't see how we're going to score. And then we're going to end up having to play another 30 minutes after that. And if it goes to penalties, we're not really confident in penalties at the minute. It was just pure relief when he scored. And I think it was, like you say, everyone felt it around the ground.
Yeah, it was a nice feeling, I think, with that ball hit the back of the net. But no, obviously, Reiss, it could have been a lot better, really. I mean, obviously, we've overlooked that Jay Cunha, obviously, somehow found his way in a one-on-one and sort of obviously missed that. We then had two better chances afterwards, really. I mean, obviously, Hutchinson's missed a one-on-one, Jesus missed a one-on-one. Are you slightly concerned at that? I mean, if you look at the last two games, we've had probably 4 clear-cut chances. We've missed all of them. You look at the Liverpool game, and Hudson-Odoi in the first couple of minutes, and the Jesus one where he's too slow to react, and Van Dijk snips it away from him. And obviously, last night you've had not really counting the Cunha one, because that's more of a fluke.
That was from an angle as well.
But the Hutchinson one and the Jesus one, I did expect the neck to bulge really, and we could have won the game 3-2 last night and mixed everything, which would have been also very Forest. But are you a little concerned that? I mean, I guess the positive is we are actually creating these chances again, because I couldn't tell you. I was trying to think earlier actually. I cannot tell you a single time during the Dyche era where we put a striker through one-on-one. I generally can't remember one. And we've done it 4 times in the last 2 games. So that is pleasing. However, the net's not bulging. So what's your sort of take on it all?
I must say, keeper was strange, wasn't he, for them? Because he went down like a pro clubs keeper for the goal. And then he actually made a couple of... the one-on-ones he actually saved. So... it just shows where we are, mate, this season. This is why we're, I think, second lowest scores in the Prem, aren't we? Just after the Wolves. 2 one-on-ones on Sunday, should I say. Neither converted. The Jesus one, he actually does really well himself to make the chance. He kind of nicks it, I think, past Guendouzi and the other guy, doesn't he? But then when he's one-on-one, you'd want him to score there, really, as a striker. Especially with his form in the Europa League, because I think he's joint top scorer, and the guy for Ludogorets has gone out now, hasn't he? So he's got a real chance of getting top scorer in this competition. And then the Hutchinson one, superb play from Anderson at that stage of the game. The willingness to get the ball, and it were like, N'Golo Kante, like Danny said, were man of the match for me, but he just shoved him out way, didn't he, for that? And he was like, I'm getting to this, and he slips Hutchinson through. From Upper Bridgeford, I don't think they're going to catch him. and he just opens his body up far too early, mate. He should have carried it. I mean, he was opening his body up probably like 20 yards out when he should have just carried it into the area and, do what Danny did on Monday night and sat the keeper down and took it round him, or he could have dinked it over him. I just thought he took it far too early, mate. And it kind of showed me a player who was also struggling for a bit of confidence there in that moment. But I guess with Hutchinson, I know we spent a lot of money on him, but that might be down to the finances of the deal. They might say, look, pay 37.5 rather than 30. We'll let you have it on the drip, for example. So, but at least we've seen some potential with him. You know what I mean? That's a positive with him. But but it's been the story of the season, and the chances we create are minimal, and then when we do get good chances, we're just not clinical enough. That's why we were so good last season. I wouldn't say we were creating loads and loads of chances per game, but Chris Wood just had the season of his life. Obviously, Elanga was on fire, and we were just clinical. Whenever Wood got slipped through, you'd fancy him. Like the one against Liverpool springs to mind straight away. Slipped in behind Van Dijk. Tight, not tight angle, but at an angle, and he just slipped it by one of the best keepers in the world with ease. That was just when things are going for you last season. Fortunately, this season they're not going for us, and we're not clinical enough.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, it's funny you mentioned Wood, actually, because obviously we've seen reports today that we're going to hire the guy at Spurs who was the head of physio stuff or whatever it is. I know it sounds terrible given how bad their injuries have been over the last couple of years.
But last year injuries weren't an issue.
No. But
so is that says to me, if it's injury issues, I mean, Dominguez was an impact one, wasn't it, on last day? I think Arne went away with Nigeria and got injured, didn't he?
Yeah, the only two injuries really have been Woods and Aina, and they've both been on international duty, which is good from our side of things. I mean, touch wood, that remains the case, God. But
Savona's been out a while, hasn't he?
Yeah, that's true as well. Yeah, Dyche probably killed him.
Macquarie had a bit of a period out, didn't he?
Yeah, but like major ones.
Yeah, nothing too severe. But yeah, so he was at Spurs before Ange Ange booted him out, which is probably
that's why he got loads of injuries then.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I think he's also a Kiwi, and he's been looking at Woods, and obviously the reports are now that Woods will be back, hopefully for the Burnley game with 6 games to go, which would be a big boost. I mean, I'm sure. I mean, open question for both of you really, but just how big a boost is that really? Because obviously we saw how silky Jesus is, and I've said to the guy again, like, if you gave Igor Woods' finishing ability, you've probably got the next Aguero there in terms of everything he does. The way he moves, the way he holds the ball up play, the way he runs in behind. He does everything you want a striker to do. But in the crucial moments, it's like, do you trust him enough to actually put it past the keeper? So, yeah, open question to you. How big is Woods' return from injury? And obviously, what can we expect from somebody who's been out for, 5-6 months or so?
Yeah, I mean, it's getting him back. Even just, I've always thought, like, psychologically, if Chris Wood's on the team sheet and you're against him, you're thinking, I can't give him a minute. He'll give him a chance, he'll score. And that's the big positive. Whether he's fit or not, that's the next thing. But he's been out a long time, so I doubt he's going to come back injured, if you know what I mean. It's like, it's going to be a pointless. It's not like we've got to rush him back. We could have done with him back 3 months ago, couldn't we? Let's be honest. It's like, hopefully he does the full rehab and he comes back. He's not going to be fully fit, but fit enough. And yeah, like touching on the Jesus, I think Jesus likes pace though massively, if I'm honest. If that is one of my biggest critical things about him. I just don't think he's quick enough. We've seen him when he gets through against defenders, they always catch him. Whereas even Wood, like, you take the Brentford goal first game of the season when he's broke the lines, he's rounded the keeper, no one's there to try and tackle him. He's just put it into an empty net. So yeah, it's a big, massive boost. I mean, I'm Tarbo's biggest fan. If he's any way, shape, or form fit enough to get on the bench on Saturday, Sunday, he's got to be on the bench, because his last game he played, he scored. If he can create something like what he did last time, he kept us up blinking. I reckon I'll get a statue in garden there, mind the flag. So, it's a massive boost. It can only be a boost, can't it? Let's be right.
Yeah, it would be a boost because, you know, unfortunately for Jesus, he has only got 2 goals in the Premier League. You know, Wood was his top scorer last season. He reminds me of Graven a bit, Wood, in like how he kind of conducts himself. Like, he's not a shouter, but he just leads by example. You know what I mean? And I can imagine he's, you know, just a great influence in the dressing room. His experience, you know, he played in the Premier League for a long, long time, international footballer. You know, you could really argue if you was to write down a list of who would be in your top 5 for captains, he'd probably make the top 5. You know what I mean? Captain for New Zealand, for example. So, yeah, it'd be great. He's back. Can we hang his hat on him after that injury? Probably not, because, you know, he's got to get up to speed, and, you know, the speediest league in the world, and, you know, he's been out for a long time, and I think he's 34 now?
Yeah.
So I'm not going to say if and when he comes back, I'm not going to be like, oh yeah, he's got 6 games and I'm expecting to score half a dozen goals in them games. You know what I mean? It's, you know, if we do stay up or whatever happens, you're probably not going to see the best of him again. If you are, till next season. But we need all the help we can get because we're in a relegation battle. So, like Danny said, it will be a big boost just having him and around the squad at least, and hopefully we can kind of build him up, you know, over them 6 games. He can contribute end of the season if that's when he's going to be back. Because it is as well, to be fair, and I know Forest fans probably won't like this, but his probably main focus will be on the World Cup.
Oh God, yeah, of course it will be. I mean, that'll be sparring him on to get fit again, won't it? It'll be, you know, making sure that you're fit to go to the Americans, and
because that'll be his last one, won't it? He's not going to do, you know, be 38 at the time the next one comes around. That's if, you know, I think, well, New Zealand play mostly farmers, don't they, really? Because Australia play in the Asia qualifying, so they probably will. Well, now it's 48 teams and everybody qualifies. He'll probably be there again, but you doubt he'd probably play a World Cup at 38, you'd think. Oh, Sorry to any listeners from Samoa and Tonga and Fiji.
We'll get an angry letter from the Fiji supporters now you watch. Just before we move on to, obviously I've sort of jumbled around the door because there's been a lot to unpack that result really, but we'll go through a few of our sponsors. So we've got obviously Trent Side Threads. Obviously they provide bespoke Nottingham Forest equipment, you know, based on the players. So you can see that if for the visual watchers, obviously you've got you know, Eagle Hayes celebration. You've got a special Murillo shirt. Obviously, Adam reps is the Ola Aina shirt, of course. You can also get 10% off your first order if you use code RSOT with 2 T's. And then also we've also got Vesta Blinds as well, who provide stylish, high-quality made-to-measure blinds and shutters at a great price. You can give your home the perfect finishing touch with stunning, expertly fitted window coverings from Vesta Blinds. And of course, if you want something delivered up and around the country, you can always get Reiss to do that for you as well with his delivery service, which is fully insured for all local and GB deliveries. Numbers down there at the bottom. Now we'll move on to some slept on it thoughts very quickly. There aren't many, and then we'll look ahead to who we have in the next rounds, of course, as we gear up to face Midtjylland once again, and also have a little quick peek ahead of the Brighton game this weekend.
Red side of the Trent. Slept on it thoughts.
Right, so we'll go through a few of these. So we've got Bennett Patel says relief, but a drop off the second string is shocking, especially Luca, though Cunha did well enough. Got to hope for our own Prem survival that none of our first 11 get injured. Carl Booth says our first 11 is Prem quality, but we lack goals. We lack serious quality off the bench, and that will be what relegates us. That first half against a crap Fenerbahce just shows how we lack depth. Sam Lucas says the easy way, the hard way, the Forest way was on full display tonight. Thank God for Hudson-Odoi. Mark Baker says, I'll take going through, but Bray got it wrong in the first half. The attitude of some of these players, especially McAtee, needed dressing. The biggest gripe I have, though, is how in the hell did the club allow so many Fenerbahce fans in the lower Brian Clough? Well, that's not ideal. I did see quite a few in that sort of random pocket and main stand. You can see they're sort of waving their phones. But obviously, we sort of got them back a bit later on. Also got one from K Plus in Function who says, thoughts of Adam. Does recruitment software have a metric for character? Leaving aside the off-field chaos, so many squad players have had opportunities to impress and have consistently failed to do so. The more it happens, the more it is on them. That's a question for you, I suppose. So, how would you sort of gauge the character of his squads? I suppose, obviously, I find it very baffling because we are very yo-yo with this. I mean, even take these two legs, for example, going into an absolute cauldron and winning 3-0 and being completely unfazed shows a lot of character. Last night, 2-0 down, going, right, we're not losing this game, grabbing control of the game and then getting a goal to kill a tie off. That showed good character. But then you see other instances where, conceding goals in clumps, even Liverpool last week, really, getting a let off and then not learning from it, carelessly conceding again in similar circumstances. How do you sort of gauge the character of his squad? And I suppose, do you think we have enough in terms of mental strength to keep above the dotted line this season?
I think the characters have won in a relegation battle, isn't it? That's it. That's the facts of it. I think we've got a good 11. I think the 11 starters who we'd list, we all know the 11, their character, their application all season, even like they've had a lot of turmoil. I've said many times as a squad, they'd had the heart ripped out when Nuno went because they all loved him. They absolutely loved him. You could tell with the reaction at West Ham when they played him. It was quite sad to see, really, wasn't it? Even as a Forest fan, it was quite sad to see the admiration the players had for him. There was a massive mutual respect there. So yeah, they've had a rough season. They've had two managers who I don't think you can relate to. I don't think any of them had a bond with it. Anjo, Dyche, none of them. I don't think none of them had sometimes there's always a bit of like a love-in. Do you know what I mean? A manager will like one player, and then that play, like we had it with Bolly, didn't we? With Nuno, loved, like he had that. He got in there, and then with Cooper, strangely, it was like Aurier, wasn't it? He absolutely Aurier just got the Cooper buzz and just put his body on the line for us. So yeah, as a collective, that 11 I think is good enough. I think the mindset's been good enough. It's just the support cast is both showing no form, and like Reiss says, in spells showing no commitment. So that's a big test of character. But then probably didn't realise they'd signed up for a relegation battle. So it is hard, do you know what I mean? And there are a lot of young lads in there, like Backwell. He's only a young lad. He's come from he wasn't expecting this. Hutchinson, he come into a club where a manager, we're just guessing, wasn't talking to him. I bet his head's been like, what is going on here? Like, and now he's found his feet. You've got like even little things like Zach Abbott starting at Leeds, like that could have done him no good. Like, it's all right, we all want to see our own players come through, but look at him as an individual. That had a shot. I mean, me and Reiss was there when he walked around past us when he got bought off. He looked absolutely distraught, didn't he, Reiss? He looked distraught. Abbott did when he come off. Like, he wasn't proud. Like we all say, oh yeah, I bet he's not. He wasn't. He was gutted because basically he'd let himself down, which is harsh to say, but he had. Like, he'd gone in there to do a job and he couldn't do it. So they've had a lot of setbacks. I still believe in him though. I do still believe in him because there's some good. Well, we've all spoke about it. We've said if we go down, not one of the 11 stays. So there's definitely good players there, and it's just the goals. I think they've got the character. I do think they've got the character. That goal against Liverpool were heartbreaking, but we've seen it time before. We've seen Liverpool do it many times this season against teams that are a lot more stable than us, as you'd say. So, yeah, I do think they have got it. I've said it. If Igor Jesus scores 6 goals, more goals to the end of the season, we'll stay up. That's all it is for me. We are that. We need a striker to score 5 to 6 goals. I know we can all talk about, oh yeah, but everyone else has to chip in. No, I'm talking a striker needs to score 6 goals for us. I don't think it's a mentality thing. I don't think it's whether like you say, what I'm trying to say, like in their head, they know they're in a battle. I don't think it's that. I think they're fine. We just need to put the ball in the back of the net, because once that happens, we've seen it. Like, look at the Fenerbahce game. Murillo scores the screamer. We dominated the game. Tottenham, Sangare scored. Sangare got the press, getting the ball to Hudson-Odoi. We dominated the game. Even the Brentford game, which was a bit different, but because we've got a goal, they could hang on to it. Give them something to hang on to. I do back them to hang on to it. But until we give them that, but we could say that about Nuno. We all used to say, if we don't get the first goal, that's the issue. So I don't think it's a character issue. I think we just need to get a goal, start getting some goals. I will say probably the players, the starting 11, will be thinking a bit now, I could do with the lads chipping in Europe to help us rest, because they'd have been disappointed. Do you know what I mean? No one's coming off there thinking, oh God, I'm glad they've struggled. They'd have been like, oh, could you not just... Like Anderson didn't want to play 90 minutes last night. Williams didn't want to play 90 minutes last night. I bet he didn't really want to be bringing Sangare on. I mean, Gibbs White luckily didn't have to play many minutes. He probably didn't want to bring Igor Jesus on after 45 minutes, and they probably didn't want to come on. Do you know what I mean? They probably, as daft as it sounds, they probably thought, I've done my job. You lot go and just get us over the line, please, lads, because that's the way football works. So, character-wise, I think we're good enough. Defence and midfield, I think we're good enough. Goalkeeper, I've been impressed with Ortega. I think he's a good header. He's got a good head on his shoulders. He settled us a bit last night. I thought it was good. It's just the goals. We all know it's the goals. I think seeing something like that, I touch on Taiwo, scored 6 in 4. It kept us up. If Jesus scores 6 in 4, if Jesus gets 6 goals from now to the end of the season, we'll stay up. I guarantee it. That's how I feel.
Right, you, Reiss, do we need Gary Goals to come in? He does the penalties.
It'd be nice, wouldn't it? He scores all the goals as well, Gary Goals. I think as well, just to follow on from Danny, with that, the starting 11 as well, a lot of them was in here at the second season. So they've been used to a bit of relegation battle. You know, your Gibbs White, Hudson-Odoi was here, Dominguez was here, Sangare was here, Murillo was here, Aina was here, Nico was here. So you've got a massive core of the squad there who's been at both ends of the spectrum with Forest. They've had a relegation battle with Luton, Everton, etc. And then obviously they've had the heights of last season. And like Danny said, the players who've probably come in the summer, the likes of Ndoi, who's been playing for Bologna recently, who are fighting at the top end of Serie A, looking to get in Europe every year. You know, Back was obviously young. You know, Hutchinson's a young lad. They'd probably come to Forest thinking, well, this is a club what's, you know, on the up. You know, we're playing in Europe this season. We can have a good run in that. We'll probably finish mid-table. You know, we've got a manager who's settled at the time. And then it's obviously all fell apart. And then they're thinking, geez, we're in a relegation battle here. And when they have got to fight, they're probably showing that some of them are not quite up to it. But yeah, I think, and that's the issue, isn't it, in Europe, where you want to rotate a bit and, you know, give the first teams a break. Like last night was an ample opportunity because they've done the work in the first leg. They've still got to come on and rescue us, and that isn't ideal at all. So, you know, unfortunately, we just keep. The problem is when they're not getting consistent time, and when they do get the chance, they're not showing it. So the managers then, whoever the manager is thinking, well, I'm not going to put them into a Premier League game because I'm probably going to get a worse result in a bigger game for us. So then the next time they get a chance will be another European game, but it's probably 2 or 3 weeks gone then, and then they've got to get up to speed. And it's just kind of this vicious circle, really. So, yeah, we've just got to have his fingers crossed, haven't we, that, you know, we can just get over the line by whatever means necessary, mate.
Absolutely, yeah. I think for what it's worth, I do agree with. I think both raise very valid points. I do agree with Danny in the sense that if it's Jesus or even Wood, if Wood comes back and starts scoring goals in clumps, 6 goals isn't a massive ask, I don't think, for a striker, especially the way that we're creating chances at this moment in time.
When Jesus scored 2 this season, it is a big ask.
It is, but then if you look at the figures, though, I mean, like, again, without sounding all Brentford's, he's only 2 down on his expected performance. So you're telling me in 28 games, whatever else he's played, we've created enough chance of him to score 4 goals. That's terrible indictment on us more than anything else. So, you know, it's not just a isolated thing; it's a widespread issue, really. But again, I've seen enough signs of Pereira to sort of think that actually we are actually starting to create again, which is good. I'm much more concerned if we aren't creating like we were on a Deitch. You're relying on moments of magic, like Big T at Brentford, for example, will get a goal, beating 2 players and megging the keeper. That's not sustainable every week. So yeah,
I think Sunday will probably show us where we are under Pereira.
Very much so.
It's still very early days, but you played the reigning champions who, let's be honest, if you do, I know Liverpool have been a bit hit and miss this season, but anything against that type of side, you'd probably say is a bit of a Brucey bonus. With Blitz, Fenerbahce, last night we've got through, so you think, well, Brighton, won last time out against Brentford, stopped their rot, but when's the last time they won at home? And I think the crowd have been getting on the back recently at home. So it's a good,
their last home.
Yeah, so it's a good. You're looking at that as an opportunity to say, right, well, let's see what you've got then, lads. So we'll see Sunday.
Definitely, I think he'll use his squad as well, won't he? I do get the impression with Pereira. Yeah. It's like, it's all right us getting on here. And like to be fair, we've all criticised rightly, but none of us are saying this should. Well, I'm not personally saying these like young lads and that shouldn't put a shirt on again. And I don't think Pereira gives that impression. I think he will. We've seen it. Liverpool, we brought back Quinn and Doyle on 30 minutes to go. And I thought it was the right decision to make, personally. I thought that the legs had gone. So you can't just let him run into the ground like Deitch were doing, where we watched him and we could see Callum and Hudson-Odoi couldn't run on 60 minutes, but he played him for the 90. I do think Pereira will use him, which is a massive positive. Very much so, yeah. Obviously, very quickly before... we'll look at Brighton now, actually. Before we discuss, we'll discuss the land of the midgets first. So obviously, we've got Midtjylland in with Europa League paths. We'll stick with Europe. Midtjylland in the next rounds. Obviously, in some ways, an awkward tie because they sort of represent all the things that they're strong in, all the areas that we're weak in. They're strong at set pieces. They run around a lot. They're very organised, tough to break down, sort of thing. They're basically like mini Brentfords. I mean, they're obviously owned by the same owner, aren't they? They follow the same sort of philosophies and XG data, whatever else. But first of all, obviously, Reiss, I know you were very sort of given a choice. You wanted Midtjylland over Betis because you felt over 2 legs we have enough quality for them. Do you still stand by that now we've got them?
Yeah, I think we'd have enough quality for either side if we play out when we're at as best, as we showed at Betis. There was a period in that first half where they just couldn't live with us because, again, like I said earlier, we put it up to Premier League intensity, and these leagues just can't live with the Premier League. That's why you're seeing a side who's in a relegation battle in the Prem. They finish in the top 8 of the Champions League comfortably in Tottenham. So, yeah, but, Midtjylland, was under Ange wanted. I mean, that night was an absolute disaster. What was it? 2 set pieces, and then they've obviously scored late on the break. I think we had 2 goals offside that night. And Doyle scored, who were kind of, a lot of the fans have washed his hands off. And then, as I said in the group chat earlier, I think the jury was out for a lot of fans on Sangare back then, and he was cutting through their midfield with ease, absolute ease with his passing, his athleticism. So I know they've got a bit of a nemesis in Philip Dillon, but he didn't score, so it gives him a chance in another 2 games to try. But I'd like to think, mate, we've got enough quality and enough to beat them over 2 legs. And I think if we went out to them, that would be a shock. And, if Midtjylland execute a game plan really well and beat us, fair play to them. But over 2 legs will be favourites, mate. And I expect us over 2 legs to, probably win both games, mate, if I'm being honest. At least go there and not get beat and then beat them at ours.
Yeah, I mean, we do go for obviously, of course. Danny, what about yourself?
Basically, same as Reiss. Exactly what Reiss has said. There's not really a deal to add. We're favourites for it. If you give me the 2 options, it's Midtjylland aren't as good as Betis, in my opinion. Like they're not signing Anthony for. I know he's not necessarily the best, but they're not in that ballpark, are they? They, like say, as a club, they're well run, this, that, and the other. And like I say, it'll be down to a game plan if they do beat us. But I'd back us to beat a team from Denmark over 2 legs, definitely. So yeah, no, I'm happy with a tie. I'm happy that the fans who get to go are fortunate to tick another ground off the list. So yeah, it's Midtjylland in the last 16 at Europa League. Like we're buzzing, aren't we? Let's be right. I know it is, but like that feeling we're all going to get, that it'd be a bit more of a better tie at home. I'd back it to Salah because, like I say, it's going to be that first leg.
Yeah.
And then going into that one, we're going to be taking over Denmark. I imagine it's going to be a right good trip. So yeah, it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant.
Definitely, yeah, you're not wrong at all. And lastly, before we move on, also going to obviously let people go back to their Friday of all 210 people watching. Brighton away weekends. Obviously, I'll be there for my sins. Well, it's more of a home game for me, isn't it? So I suppose it's not too bad. Yeah, I'll be back by half 6 and time to do the pod at 7. Obviously, what's your thoughts on it first and foremost, Reiss? And just how big a game is it? Obviously, Liverpool hosting West Ham and Spurs having a very difficult time against Fulham. Is that at the Cottage or is that
at Cottage? Yeah.
At the Cottage, yeah. So that's not an ideal trip for them. And obviously, I saw all the Fulham boys are all Arsenal lads, aren't they? Did you see that clip of Smith Rowe on the bus, like doing the Gyökeres celebration when he scored against Spurs? And then Wobie just laughing in the background. So they'll be turned up for that game. We got a real opportunity to go 5 points clear if things go our way, and to move a place up the table. Surely it's got to be one we look at and think, yeah, this is where it starts to turn. If it's going to.
Yeah, well, let's hope. We can only control his own destiny. At the end of the day, like we've said many times on this pod, we match West Ham's results this season, we stay up. It's as simple as that. So, you'd think, Liverpool are going to be favourites for that game, but Nuno last season tore up the script, didn't he, at Anfield? So you never know. We can't be relying on other sides to bail us out at the end of the day. Same with Fulham. I guess the positive from West Ham's point of view, especially, is that they'll probably be looking at Forest in Europe and thinking, well, they've got extra games, but 9 times out of 10, when they've got European games, we're going to play before them. So they can put their points on the board and probably put the pressure on us. But, that's one of them things. But, it's like I said a couple of comments ago, mate, it's a big opportunity because I know Brighton have got out of this rut, but at home, I think Hurts a dividing opinion into it at the minute with them. I'm sure they'll probably be disappointed with how their season's gone because, I think Brighton always look to finish in the top half and maybe look at, a couple of seasons ago when they got in Europe, and then they're probably seeing a side like us who got in Europe last season and thinking, well, we finished one place below them. We could get back in there when you've got the likes of Brentford, etc., around them spots. So, and they still might, you never know. A run, there's still not lots and lots of points between 7th and probably like 14th, I'm guessing, at all. So they'll want to get back on the horse at home. But it's an opportunity for us, mate. We've probably just got to try and, not concede an early goal, get his foot on the ball, just quieten the crowd and probably try and turn the crowd, make them a bit frustrated because, let's be honest, Brighton will look at us at home and thinking, well, the Forest have played Thursday night. They'll probably be thinking, well, we should be turning these over at home. So, it's a big opportunity for us. And we need a win, mate, really. We really do need a win. And then that sets it up as well because the week after's Man City away and anything I'm not going to write games off, but anything you get there would be a bonus. As by his record there, we're not even scored there yet in the Premier League, never mind. Took a point. So, yeah, it's a big opportunity this weekend. And let's hope we can extend the gap to at least, I'd say, 3 points. But that does rely on, obviously Liverpool beating West Ham. But it'd be such a relief if we could win. West Ham lost, say Spurs lost, because that would put us above Spurs, wouldn't it?
It would. Yeah, only 2 points behind them.
Drag them below us, and also then you've got that two game cushion then over the bottom 3, thinking, well, West Ham's got to win 2 more games than us. Yeah. But if only life was that easy, I'm sure Forest won't make it easy, even if it wants to win.
No chance at all. It's either glory or famine. Yeah. Danny, what about yourself?
Yeah, like I say, it's a nice team to play into. Do you know, like you say, it will give us a picture of where we are.
Yeah,
it's not. They're not like going to go and try and shit ourselves. Do you know what I mean? It's like a team where we're going to be able to go and implement our game plan on where we are as a team. It's a favourable fixture in a sense of you're not going to have to go there and worry about it being like a disjointed kind of game. Do you know what I mean? It's not like they're just going to focus on set pieces and we've got to be just focusing on set pieces now. It'll be a game where we're going into it and we can, like we did at our place, just when we beat them 7-1, go and just enforce our game plan on them. So, and I do fancy us that it's a game where if they do get the win, it'll be a massive, massive boost for them. Massive. It'll be a big scalp in the sense of if they go and get that win there, they'll be thinking going to the Man City game where it's a bit of a no-lose kind of thing. And I know like Reiss is right, but like we're not scored there. But I think if we got a positive result at Brighton, I'd be more hopeful going into the City game in the aspect to be a bit like, well, let's just go in. We've got them points on the board. This is a game where we can, like say, if it is a 2-game buffer at the time, I'd back us go in there with less. If we had less pressure on it, then if we went there with pressure on it at City, I don't think we'd take the game to them how we need to. I think it's a game if we go to City where we need to go with minimal pressure on us. So yeah, it's a game I fancy us to do. I do fancy us to get something, and it'll be down to scoring goals. I know it sounds silly, but it will. It'll be if we take our chances on Saturday, on Sunday, I think we'll win.
Fingers and toes crossed we do. Can I get a quick prediction from you both?
I'll let Danny go first.
I'll go 1-0.
1-0?
1-0.
Nice.
Yeah.
Reiss?
Forest.
Yeah. Leave it ambiguous. 1-0 either way.
I'll sit on the fence with splinters in my backside and go 1-1.
Oh, okay. I'm going to go... Yeah, I'm also going to go 1-0 Forest, Yeah. I mean, obviously, one thing we didn't cover was Ortega, actually. There's a good chance we sort of Angus gunning goal this weekend, depending on Ortega's car. Fact, could change things slightly. But
I know he's not Ortega Sal's level, but his experience, he's Scottish international, was whatever credence you want to give that as a proud Englishman. But it's not like we're bringing in like Aaron Bott, is it? For example,
no.
At least it's an experienced goalkeeper who knows his. Like in the Palace game, he didn't really get tested, but he come out for crosses and he looked fine. So I'm
he's
sure
very aggressive. I thought off his line. Yeah,
I'm sure if it is him, then it's not like we're chucking in a rookie, isn't it? At least he's an experienced keeper, and he'll want to obviously keep himself ticking over for the World Cup when they play the mighty Haiti.
Yeah, like I say, that Palace game's probably done a world of confidence and all, hasn't it? And as it has us. Do you know if he hadn't come on in that Palace game and we'd have seen that 45 minutes from him, I think we'd all be a bit more nervous him coming in. But because we're seeing that 45 minutes in which he looked a steady pair of hands, and that's all we need. Do you know what I mean? He ain't got to be the best keeper in the world. He's just got to be a steady pair of hands, which he's shown. Yeah. So, no, it's not the end of the world.
Absolutely not. No. And just before I wrap up things very quickly, obviously we have a fact from obviously a light-hearted way to end the show. We got a fact from Premier Elliot, and his fact is today's fact is that every year in Japan, thousands of receptionists apply to compete against each other in the All Japan Phone Answering Championship. They are judged on politeness and eloquence. They all meet up in a big hall and are tested, and a group of judges decide who is the winner, and they get a trophy, which is more than success for Spurs, I suppose. So yeah,
God bless you.
Yeah.
Can I for Elliot as well? I'll follow it up with a football fact that Victoria Pilsen are unbeaten in Europa League this season, but are actually out of the competition now.
They drew at every game, didn't they? I swear.
Yeah, so they drew last night and lost on penalties, but they've not lost a game this season, but are out.
That's like New Zealand, isn't it? In the 2010 World Cup, they drew all 3 games and went out, didn't they? I think, yeah.
Or you could be Portugal at Euro 16 and draw every bleeding game till the semis and still win the tournament.
So that was fine. That was obviously Platini's rule as well. When after they beat France in the final, you could come third and go through. And talk about putting egg on your own face. But anyway, thank you everyone who's tuned in. All 220 odd of you who've checked in tonight. I'm giving up your Friday evening. I mean, where you're going out, sort of like G up. That's probably not the best thing in the world. But all the same, Forest are in the last 16 of European competition. That is pretty impressive. I mean, imagine saying that, God, even 3-4 years ago. So, yeah, incredible stuff, really. Obviously, we'll be here on Sunday to review the Brighton game. And then probably Thursday to look at the City game, because it's an evening fixture as well. And then I think it's international break then, isn't it? So we can all do a break from Forest, I think. But everyone who's tuning in, thank you all once again. We'll be very, very soon. Europe again on ALA is still the chant, at least for 2 more games. But yeah, enjoy your evening, enjoy your weekend, and come on your Reds.